Hello, and welcome back to Mum's Finding Calm Within the Chaos. My name is Elise, your coach, teaching you how to regulate your nervous system, your emotions, set boundaries, and do some things that make you feel loved and nurtured and show up in a more calm, energized, relaxed way in motherhood. But I know full well that we don't always get it right. Sometimes we snap, sometimes we want to go out of the room and not listen to all the noise and all the chaos. And so I really want to share with you today that my coaching is not airy fairy and fluffy. This is about real life tools and strategies, but first, educating you about what's happening within your mind and your body. Often we can have these stress responses that show up for us that we're not aware of where they're coming from. It's just our subconscious mind responding. So, what we've been doing in my free space is at the first week of every month, the first 5 to 7 days, I am dropping education, tools, resources, knowledge about what might be happening for you. Where does that show up from? Is it from your inner child, generational patterns that was taught to you? Is it a just the response you've always known? Did something happen to you in your life where you thought, I need to protect my body or I need to protect my mind? Some people might go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And this is something that happens to all humans, but how does that ripple into parenting? If you're quite an anxious, reactive person, you will go into fight or flight. If you were taught that it wasn't safe to speak up as a child or have an opinion or express your feelings and emotions, you may go into fight, fight or flight as well, but you might actually go into freeze or fawn, which are some of the very common nervous system reactions that a lot of people don't actually understand. We just think that we're reactive, but sometimes it could be disassociating, not knowing how to set a boundary, not knowing how to help others emotionally regulate. So these things are not just about what's happening when we snap or we get cranky at our children or we feel overwhelmed. Like, what's actually happening and maybe why, and how can you support that? I think these are really important things to learn because, pardon me, when I first learned these, it really changed how I was able to sort of reparent myself and rewire myself. And sometimes in the moment, I have to reframe or redirect my energy somewhere else. And once you learn this, it takes time and consistency and intentional practice to rewire and reframe. But the nervous system response is all about keeping your body feeling safe. So let's get into it today and let's talk about some areas in which this might show up for you as a parent, or it might not. Sorry, I'm just fidgeting with my microphone. Um, so some areas in where you may feel that you respond in a way that maybe you're not sure how to shift from that might be, have you ever snapped and thought about where did that come from? I didn't really want to snap just then. That happens, right? Even to me, even though I know this, even though I have the tools, you're human, your mind and your body, like sometimes I can feel it happening to me when my mind just feels so busy, and I feel overwhelmed by all the noise that is happening. And I've been known to sort of snap and go, whoa, where did that happen? Where did that come from? I didn't regulate myself before it got to this. Or also, it's about acknowledging that sometimes you're human, you don't get it right all of the time. Perfect isn't real. So, have you ever shut down in the middle of the chaos? Sometimes it's important to acknowledge that our go-to response may not be one of these all of the time. You may have found moments in time where you are doing all of these at different periods and different times. You may not have always done just one response. It might be a few different responses. So you may shut down in the middle of chaos. So that could be when your children are bouncing off the walls or they're mid fight, sibling fight, and you just shut down. You don't know how to break it up. I know that I have seen people that do this. And it's not their fault. It's their nervous system's wiring, the way they were maybe parented. I know a lot of people say don't always blame how you were parented, but a lot of the time our foundation for our development is built between ages 0 to 7. And that can be, in our childhood where our thoughts, beliefs, patterns, and wiring sort of comes from. So it's not about blame or shame, but just learning and understanding where it comes from so that you can change it if you feel that's what you're wanting to do. Or I know that I have done this one often, and it's sort of something new to me to learn and work on. Um, is sometimes people pleasing can be a way of controlling or keeping our nervous system safe. Might be when we say yes to something that we didn't really feel comfortable saying yes to, or even when we say no to something we feel a bit cringy and a bit funny in our body. It might be that someone invites us out somewhere or says something that we don't feel comfortable with. Um, we we see any simple boundary as like, oh no, conflict's coming. So we just say yes to people please or whatever that situation might be. So I know that I have done that before. Um, I've watched and read up a few things about how that can also be just a form of control, which a lot of these are. They're just controlling and finding safety in the body. But people pleasing is not a good one because you're operating out of disalignment, you're fearing conflict, or that everyone's going to sort of come at you when all you needed to say was a simple no, and not everyone is going to come at you. So that's an interesting and tricky one because it takes, like, a lot of these take time and consistency and support. But that one I find is like an underlying one that a lot of us have that we don't even realize we're doing sometimes. And it's important to know, yeah, like that a lot of these are not personality flaws. This isn't putting yourself down and going, oh no, I respond all the time and now I'm carrying this shame because I respond. No. Once you have the tools and knowledge to implement, you can move forward and make actionable changes or get support. Um, so in today's episode, like I said, we're talking about fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Um, but more importantly, how might they show up for you and how can you support yourself, right? So again, like I said, these are survival responses. This is your body seeking safety. So if you think about back in the caveman days, the caveman was protecting his wife or children or himself in a cave, and there would have been like a dinosaur or a saber-toothed tiger coming to attack him, and he's just wanting to protect his cave. That's where the amygdala in the brain formed, and that's where we need, like, that's the part of the brain that perceives anxiety, threat, safety. So all of these responses are not your fault. They are an automatic subconscious response, not a conscious response. So that is where the education to support yourself is so important, because you can then actually have like that awareness about how to rewire that or shift that or comfort it or support it. Um, they happen when your body or mind perceives a threat. So, as I said, some people might perceive that their children having a sibling fight or lots of chaos to be a threat to them because of maybe unsafe environments in childhood. Just an example, like, or maybe they experienced some sort of other time or place or event that their body, pardon me, their body or their mind has kind of created that mapping system in the nervous system to be like that. That feels like a threat to me, and I don't feel safe going into that in chaotic environment. I want to say that at times I've done all of these responses. So just to give you that human and that sort of relatability that we all do these things. Um, Again, it's reminding yourself that you're not broken or not to shame yourself, but just to create comfortable tools to support you. We want to create calm within the chaos. So when I say calm within the chaos, it's not always within your children in your family home, but within yourself. The inner work is so important. However, it's not till you really learn about your emotional regulation system, your sensory system, your nervous system, and how they all correlate and how you can support these things that um, you can shift them. So that's what I'm here for, to help you shift them. Now, fight. Fight is where we snap or we're trying to control the environment. We are irritable. We might yell, scream, just like I said, feel snappy, irritable. Like I mentioned earlier, there's like that noise in your brain that just cannot shut off, and you feel maybe rage within your body. If you've been around with me, either in my free container, had paid coaching with me, joined one of my paid containers, or even just listened to this podcast, you'll often hear me speak about the volcano effect. So that can be where you feel like this rage just starting to rise up. Now, we teach you how to do body scans in my coaching, and that is listening to the intuitive feeling within your body. Where do you feel this emotional response first or this nervous system response? Now, for me, um, I used to be and known to be a really anxious personality type. So I've done a lot of these protective mechanisms that I didn't really know that I was even doing till I learned them, right? So I always would feel like this anxiety and this sort of anger and rage in my body, but I didn't want to be a snappy mum. I didn't want to be a yelling mum. I don't want to always be snapping at my partner because I'm overwhelmed. So you may yell subconsciously. Like I said, these are subconscious responses to protect your body. So you may yell, but you don't mean to. You may feel the rage, so the volcano effect, you feel like that real, like, in your stomach. And the reason I call it like the volcano effect is because you're feeling that lava rise inside your body before it pours out of you in any way. um, Using harsh tones or just irritation to noise and mess, or constantly feeling like you're on edge, like you're just, and I know a lot of mums feel this, so it's not about shame, it's about relatability, healing, and growth. So, and supporting each other, right? So, I know a lot of mums that I speak to have the feeling of like you're just constantly on edge. It's the noise, it's the to-do list, the cognitive, mental, emotional load, everything. It's just a build-up in your mind and your body, and you're living on the edge. So your nervous system needs mobilization. It feels like it's going to, be in defend mode, fight mode, strike mode. Um, and that could be for any number of reasons, but the best and possible way to come back down from fight mode, so you're ready to like defend the cave, you're a caveman, you're ready to protect, is simple pause and breath. Now, I know in that moment, a lot of mums have said to me in the past, I can't meditate, I can't do breath work. And that is because they are attaching the idea of needing the mind to feel calm and quiet immediately and the body to feel calm immediately to the idea of meditation and breath and pause. I want you to know that quite often when I first started this work, nothing felt calm or quiet in my mind. I just now have trained myself to stop, pause, and freeze when I feel I'm going to snap or feeling overwhelmed or things are just too much in that moment. Another great one can just to be shake your body, like just, as an educator, I always used to say to children, shake the sillies out, not knowing that I was regulating myself at the same time. So it's so important to just shake, shake, shake those sillies out, right? Oh, pardon me. You have to be patient with me. I'm currently like just trying to find the best possible place in the house to set up this setup, and um, I just need to get comfortable while recording. Now, I'm never going to make you do tools or resources when you work with me as a coach that make you feel discomfort all of the time. But sometimes we just need to move through that gentle layer of our comfort zone without making your body feel too much fight or flight or too much threat, but gently each time, step by step. I was just telling him the other day, she's like, I really need to breathe. I really need to breathe. I know I need to breathe. This is happening, and I need time for breath work. And I said to her, it's just a few minutes gently each day, and then build up to 1 more minute each day. You but yes, gently shaking the sillies out, moving it, like I feel that in my body every time I just do a little shake. You know how we teach our children to shake the sillies out, we need to too. It might be in a form of like putting music on and having a whole dance party. If you follow me on socials, you will have seen that I post lots of dancing videos often, and they are in real time, me trying to regulate and shift my energy to show you how to do it too. Um, Sometimes to really escalate could be just to de-escalate, sorry, from escalation is to repair quickly instead of spiraling into a place of shame and guilt for that snap. I know that a few mums have asked me to talk in my free container this week. Like I said, the first 5 to 7 days of every month, we do um, some free tools in there. And some mums have asked for like support in reconnecting after this happens. Now, the reconnection can be as simple as a hug and then change of behavior, which takes time and consistency, but teaching your children, like mum is trying to regulate her body, like showing them the actionable change and the tool to regulate. Imagine what you're teaching them when you show them and invite them and embody them into this change. You're really breaking generational cycles by teaching them how to regulate too. Pardon me. I did not plan on having the coughs and sniffles this today. Um, But I think it's because the weather in Melbourne has really shifted from like summer weather to like raining and a bit muggy and cold. So just bear with me on that too. I apologize. I am just a mum with a microphone and a mission. That's a good slogan actually to go forward from now, isn't it? A mum with a microphone and a mission. Um, so flight mode, that is where we can be. Now you picture that as like flight, like you're just running out of the room because everything feels like a threat to you right now, right? And that could be the case, but flight is something that we don't realize that we could be doing in a form of overscheduling, constantly cleaning, like being dysregulated by mess, so you're always trying to organize, scrolling to escape, avoiding hard conversations, never sitting down. So the need to always be doing something or attaching your worth to work. So never taking a moment to switch off. And I think as parents, we especially do this, but I see this in men and women. Dads attach themselves so often to their worth, to work, provide, and earn an income. Like a lot of the time, that can be what men have associated their worth to their whole life. And I'm not saying those things aren't important, but that could be like overworking, overtime, never being home, always having to have a hobby. Um, and a lot of the time, you are not actually like running out of a room or jumping on an airplane to fly. You are avoiding life in the form of flight. Scrolling to escape, scrolling to regulate on your phone, overscheduling appointments. I know too many of you, and this isn't shame or judgment. This is just I because I know this work now, I recognize the pattern when I speak with mums, and a lot of my friends in the real world do this. They are overscheduling, having themselves like in really important roles. They're doing like four jobs, like overscheduling or constantly cleaning or constantly organizing. And I think that is also a generational pattern a little bit because women have attached their worth to having a display-worthy, clean home. That like I need to be cleaning all the time, or I need to be busy with my children all the time to be a good mum. That is not true, but the best way to move forward with this is to make actionable, conscious rewiring of your behaviors. So I know that's a hard one, but a lot of the time, I have seen even other coaches saying it's not mindset work, it's nervous system work, but the change of mindset and the change of behavior can also be what helps rewire your nervous system. It just takes more consistency, moving out of your comfort zone, moving into safety, than the tools of like breath work, doing a dance, shaking your sillies out, those are really good tools, but actionable behavior change are really helpful and supportive too. But in the moment, what tools can I do now to start making that change? So that is to start saying no to overscheduling, start setting boundaries. Do not say yes to everything. But also right now, I want you to sit down intentionally just for 2 minutes, not for too long. Make yourself a cup of tea. These are the mums and the dads that say, I don't have time to relax, but they've never given themselves 2 minutes to just sit down. Make yourself a cuppa, a coffee, whatever your favorite hot drink is, a cacao. Go and sit down for 2 minutes. Go and sit down for 2 minutes. I don't care if the house is crazy. Don't care if there's washing to be folded or cleaning to be done. Sit down for 2 minutes and have a cuppa. Just sit down intentionally. Even if the pile of washing is next to you, just sit and have a cuppa. I want you to do that for 2 to 5 minutes. Just sit down. Maybe even more grounding if you go and do it outside. Like I said, Melbourne is raining at the moment. Really not nice weather outside, so my sit down is definitely going to be shelter and inside. But if it's sunny and a nice warm day, go and sit down in the grass and ground yourself. Or in the sunshine, should I say. Put one more hand on your chest and breathe. Breath work, like I really want to heal and do more growth around this because I had started studying breath work and more trauma-informed therapy a while ago. But it's not something I fully feel I'm complete in my growth in, and I need to actually go and immerse myself in a session with a healer too. But when I say breath, I mean like two, 4, 6, 8, like 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 6 rounds, 8. You can do this on the fly. I do this in the car on the way to and from school drop off if I need to. I can do this in the middle of the kitchen while I'm cooking dinner now. At first, I used to have to stop and pause myself and just really sit for a few minutes. But now that I've done this conscious, intentional work for years, I am able to do it in different ways. 5 things you can see, feel, taste, touch, smell. This grounding work really helps you to be anchored in the moment of your environment, of your body, and then you could do, like I said earlier, a body scan if needed and required. However, we're going to move forward to the next one because I realize that I'm talking for a long time and I don't want it to cut me off of the recording. Again, a mum with a microphone and a mission and just learning as I go. Freeze is when you shut down, so you don't know how to respond to chaos. You don't like cleaning, guilty as charged. Emotional numbness, brain fog, feeling heavy, feeling stuck, procrastination, disassociating when there is conflict, or not knowing how to respond when there's conflict or chaos. Uh, yeah, guilty. I have not known how to do this for a very long time. But I know I'm not alone in this. Um, have you ever like been in at that family party and there's that family member that you think they never respond when all the kids are chaos? Maybe there's a reason they just get curious instead of judging. Um, again, gentle, actionable steps. Responding once can be really helpful. Responding once. But a way to rewire your nervous system, again, can be gentle movement. Um, I always say in my coaching that I want the steps and tools and strategies and mindsets and rewiring from subconscious to conscious mind to become something that is embodied. Like, I don't want you to leave a coaching session and the tools no longer work because you haven't, like, you need to implement things into your world every day, one small step each day. Like when I have practiced health and wellness for myself or for clients, one smoothie a day. Simple. That's not hard. Um, so yeah, it could be cold water on your wrists and just holding that on a wet compress for a moment, or running water can be so just resetting, but also comforting. But you may have seen me share again in my freak group. But if you want to know more about the shower cleanse reset, that's so helpful. It's a bit more of like a spiritual technique that I practice, but it's very resetting for your nervous system, where we just step into the shower. It doesn't have to be hot or cold. I don't really sell like cold plunges or hot plunges or any of the things, just comfort and nurture. I don't want to send people into like further stress and anxiety responses. And while there's a lot of wellness and life coaches in my world that say cold plunges are great, I think they are because for the longest time, like you're resetting and like really showing yourself a sense of strength in your mindset. The longer you can sit in one for, obviously they're really hard to do. I just find that actually there's been some research on women and their cycle, their menstrual cycle, but also our nervous system cycle, about like if your body's perceiving a threat and then you step into cold, that's shock. So, yeah, like that can be great to move through that comfort zone. But I think when I say cold water on your wrist or face or a shower, I'm like gentle parts of cold water, like a cold compress, rather than like an ice bath, can be good. I've just seen some practitioners talk about how for females, which obviously my coaching is mostly mothers, if you're on a menstrual cycle, cold plunges can actually not be super beneficial when you're on your cycle. So that's something to remember. But when you have a cleanse shower, you're just actually stepping under the water and you're setting intentions and you're saying affirmations and you're rewiring the mind and you're picturing the white light coming down over your head, over your body, and washing away any stress. And I like to sometimes just say, like, I am protected. I see the white light over me. There is no stress or negativity in my day today. I am calm. I am regulated. Or if you're having your shower in the evening or in the middle of the day, whatever time, and something stressful's already happened, you can do a similar affirmation where it's like, I remove all stress and negativity from my day today. And I want you to really visualize it being washed away. Um, now, um, fawn can be overly people pleasing, overly giving, or as some call it, Juna diving. And again, it's almost like the scroll hole where we sort of sit and don't respond to much. So we're going to get into fawn because when I read this about myself the first time, I was like, oh, girl, you have been doing this for too long. Um, so we're gonna get into this. So fawn can be where we are overly giving, overly people pleasing, prioritizing other people's emotions over our own. Now, I've done this for the longest time where I would always be showing up for others, neglecting myself, which then ripples into like an anxiety effect. And I'm constantly like stressed out. So this is something I've sort of really worked on healing. But setting boundaries is something that so many of us find hard. We've never felt safe to set boundaries with co-workers, bosses, family members, friends, whatever. And then when we go to set them with our children, it can feel really tricky too. So, a lot of the time you're not being a lazy parent. It's that you not being taught how to do this tool, or it takes time to heal. Even though I have worked to heal the people pleaser in me, I'm still really working on boundaries because boundaries doesn't mean like reactiveness or being petty. Part of me, it's feeling confident to say no when you usually would say yes just to keep the peace. It's feeling comfortable in your own voice without it cracking. It's feeling confident to just express yourself and say how you feel. It is having emotional intelligence and emotional awareness and emotional regulation in places and feelings and environments within yourself or outside of your body, um, or with certain people, maybe that you once didn't feel comfortable to set those boundaries with. And it's because we are fearful of their response to us. Conflict may arise, but that's their conflict, not yours, right? The boundary is yours, the conflict is theirs. So, also fawn can be for now, fawn can be where people spend a lot of time tuna diving. Now, if you don't know what tuna diving is, it's where you are like hiding in your room, sleeping, or wrapped up, just needing comfort and sensory pressure and like a big warm hug. So what you really need is like instead of hiding and having a nap, maybe it's some emotional release in a safe environment that feels supportive for you to practice this before going out and doing it in an environment that feels conflicting or scary. So, yeah, if you have a coach or you work with me or you have another coach, maybe just ask them to help you work on setting boundaries because it's something I've had to work on myself. And with the help of like a coach and a friend, I don't think many of us realize that like we can get to age 40 and not know how to set a boundary. So your body believes safety comes from keeping other people happy. It's often rooted in childhood or generational patterns. And this could be because you were carrying emotions for other people. Your emotions were told that they were too much. You were dramatic. You were too sensitive. You didn't really feel safe to express yourself in those environments. So if that's you, and you relate to me on that, I'm sorry. It's not your fault though. And that's the good part about it, is that it's not your fault, and you can change it. It takes a lot of work though, and I'm here to hold you through that. Again, body scans are the most important part because we want to identify where we feel in our body when we speak, when we express ourselves, when we free our throat chakra, when we really speak. How do we feel? How do we feel? This is like a whole identity shift sometimes because you're feeling anxious, like you want to tremble, like it's not safe to use your voice and use this language. But then when you can stand with confidence, it's really going to change how you feel about yourself. So I want you to know that the discomfort you feel in your body when you set a boundary does not mean that danger is always coming. It may have meant that it did once before, but it doesn't mean that it always will or always is going to be. Most my mums don't live in one response at the same time, though. We can sometimes go through different cycles and different stress responses at different times for different reasons. You may feel that you want to fight with your kids, but fawn with extended family. Often, if you're wanting to fight your child, that's a mirror. It's a mirror. Your child's triggers or the behaviors or things that your child does that trigger you are an inner child mirror. So just hold that space gently because it can also be changed. You might want to fawn with extended family. Yeah, guilty, guilty, guilty. Um, and that's because we feel like shame or guilt or embarrassment, or like that if we set that boundary or we say how we feel or we just be our authentic selves in those environments, they maybe didn't feel safe before. Um, but I'm here to hold you and support you through that. So yeah, how can we gently support ourselves when we're fawning? Again, it's gentle, actionable steps to stop over people pleasing and start loving yourself within. Um, but doing things that provide safety. Pardon me. I don't know what's happening. I wasn't coughing before I started recording. Um, but doing things that help your body to feel comfortable and safe could be um, a weighted blanket, a sense feelings, dressing in a way that makes you feel comfortable and confident. Um, but also the inner healing is required around that. Um, Awareness is the first step, as I said. It's not to carry shame or guilt or anything like that, or to blame others for our patterns that have been created, because their patterns were created from somewhere once too. So yeah, it's not your fault, but it is your decision or choice to learn new tools and strategies to make change. So, what can a regulation tool actually look like? It doesn't always look like not ever being triggered, by the way. It does not look like being perfectly calm all the time. Why? Because perfect doesn't exist and humans, so triggers are going to happen. Um, it's noticing that activation in your body, the feeling in your body, and like I said, learning body scans. Where do I feel it in my body? Where in my chakra do I feel it? Where do I feel tense? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel nauseous? Do I feel dizzy? Do I feel like my voice trembles and shakes? Do I feel like I'm getting stress headaches all of the time? I can tell you, if you're a headache or migraine sufferer, there's probably a lot of emotional stress and tension you are carrying. Uh, there's no speed in which you need to heal and recover. Or, like I said, each tool is just a gentle tool, one step daily. Um, you're not an angry mum. You're not an anxious mum. You're not a lazy mum. You have not failed at motherhood because you may have responded in ways before that you weren't happy with. Or fatherhood if you're a dad listening, um, or whoever is listening. Um, your nervous system just needs some support, and your mind needs these tools to gently reframe from what felt unsafe to now safe or comfort. Um, so a soft call, I'm going to give you like, well, I'm not going to, this is not a soft call to action. This is a deep call to action. If you've been following me long enough now and you're feeling any of these, either get in my free group, which we run monthly, listen to this podcast more often because I have some more resources coming, or join my coaching. I have the 6-month long-term program, but I've also just released a 30-day program for those that are not quite sure if they're ready yet. I don't know why the camera keeps zooming in on me. I said to my partner when I was setting up that the Zoom camera makes me look like a mugshot, so I'm sorry about that. I'm not in control of the camera. But the gentle call for you is to, yeah, like check the link in my bio. There are free guides there, but really just, I'm happy to book a connection call with anyone and talk to you about which coaching container might best support you, because so many of us are carrying emotional stress within our body or patterns that we don't even realize are there. Um, and we say we don't want to feel this way anymore. If you're in my world, you already don't want to feel the way you're currently feeling. So let's do a little deep breath, because some of that might have felt heavy for you to hear that, like, oh my God, I'm carrying stuff I didn't know I was carrying. So we're just going to put our hand on our heart. I always like to put one hand on my stomach, one hand on my heart, because often that's where I feel it, in my heart, in my chest. And it's going to feel like a bit of a hug too, because you're like putting your hands around your body. And I want you to reach out to me and let me know how any of this has landed for you. I'm going to say goodbye for today, but I look forward to speaking with you and seeing how I can support you with any of these things, because your nervous system really does affect most of your day-to-day responses and reactions. It's just that a lot of us are operating out of our subconscious and not our conscious. But also, we need to create safety and comfort in our body, and in our child's body, or whatever it is that you're seeking by listening today. So let me know, if you're listening to this, what stood out for you, what you think you need support with. Was there something that you were like, whoa, I didn't know that I was doing that, or that was that cause? So I hope that this has helped you today. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.